And now for another episode of Hey, I don't want to forget this! Storytime with Andy.
An old friend of mine, Scott Sonneborn, asked me about my 1965 Mustang, and I told him I typed the story all down in a blog post. Well, like most of the world, he doesn't care too much about reading, so as a compromise, I decided to spend the day slaving over a computer to make a video about it so he can just listen to the story. Anyways, let's begin. I have a car that is 60 years old last month. I tell myself that I will never forget the way I got a 1965 Mustang, but I have seen how you forget stuff the older you get, and I don't want to ever forget about this. So I wrote it all down so the nurses at the old folks' home can put me in front of a computer and I can read it. As a kid, I vividly remember riding around in my Grandma McBride's Mustang when we went to Ohio at Easter and in the summer. So in 1989, Grandpa and Grandma came down to Charlotte to watch me while my parents went to Hawaii. One night during a dinner of Stouffer's lasagna, I think she made that every night while they were there. Come to think of it, she's 94 and made it for me the last time I saw her. Anyways, they asked me about my first job, which was a dish boy in the cafeteria at Mercy Hospital South. I told them that it was sometimes a challenge dealing with some people, but it was all okie dokie with me because I was saving up my money to buy a Mustang like the one Grandma had. It wasn't like a eureka moment and they waved a magic wand and a Mustang was in the driveway or anything. It was one of many conversations we had at the dinner table, and we just moved on to the next topic. About 6 months later, it was a Friday night, and I went with my friends to a football game. I had to call my parents and tell them that my friends and I were eating pizza at Godfather's on Park Road after the game. So back then, we didn't have cell phones like the punks do today, so I went to a payphone, and by God, I still know where it is, with Chris Seitz and Jenny Saney, because they had to call their parents too. I called, and my dad answered and said that it was fine, but when I got home, we have to talk. I wasn't sure if he was pissed or not. For a second there, I thought they found my porn stash or some empty beer cans that I might haven't disposed of properly, and I was in really big trouble. But Pops kind of hinted that it was a good thing and that my grandparents are some really good people for what they have done. My cousin Chris told me a few years ago that he was out looking for a truck, and he saw a Mustang and said to himself, "Hey, I think this is Grandma's old car." He called Grandpa and told him what he saw, so he and Grandpa went out to look at it. He asked Grandma if she thought it was hers. She told him to look on the back of the passenger side seat. If there's a little tear in the seat, it was hers. She remembered that Grandpa tried to put a chair in the back and he accidentally ripped the seat. FYI, this was in 1968, and by God, she still remembers. So Grandpa did a little negotiating and bought it with all intentions of giving it to me. Grandpa had it looked over by a mechanic, and a week later, he drove it down for me. 7.5 hours in a car with no AC and over 100,000 miles is not something the faint-hearted would do, but he was a man on a mission. Also, recently when I was up seeing her, Grandma told me after I said that her Mustang was turning the big 50, that it was the first car she bought with all her own money, a fact that she is very proud of, even to this day. She wanted a sporty car, and Ford just introduced the Mustang at the World Fair in New York City in April 1964. That was the car she wanted, but the demand for them was so much, they made over 1 million of them in 2 years, that she had to wait a full year and a half to get one. When she finally got one, her and Grandpa took it everywhere, from the Southwest, Florida, and South Dakota, just to name a few of the places. Who knows how to read this? This guy. And now you do too.
We interrupt this program to bring you a very random thought from Andy.
I used to drag race back in the day, and someone gave me a trophy for winning a race. It hangs in my garage, and Tom's Short Road is actually very close to where my parents live now. And here it is today. Sad, I know. It hasn't run since 2000 when I was in Wisconsin, and I drove it to the apartment I rented when a former girlfriend and I broke up. When you're a teenager, you do, pardon my French, stupid shit to a car, and I was no exception. When I lived up there, I worked at a machine shop, and we had everything to work on it and get rid of the crap I did to it when I was a stupid teenager. In between all of that, I decided to move back to North Carolina. So we just put it back together enough for me to put on a trailer so I could haul it back home, and it just sits there. So, this is just the, quote, Cliff Notes version of the story. There are things that I left out, but this will do just fine.
Will Andy ever stop getting random tools that have less than 1% of ever being used? Will he ever not drink a cup of coffee while he's working on something? Will he ever answer the question, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Will he take an afternoon nap? Tune in for another thrilling episode of the Casa de McBride Chronicles to find out more.
Hey kids, thanks for watching and for all that's right with the world. Click thumbs up or thumbs down if you are a bitter person because you still live in your parents' basement. Laugh in.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andy has left the building. Good night.
He will always be the king no matter what.